Yeah. Sadness? Oh yeah. Yeah. No get up and go? Yeah. Something we was talking about yesterday. You can't get that strength. Talked about here earlier. You can't get that strength to push yourself. You can't get that ability to go because you're down and out and poor old me and poor old my and poor old wah. And the enemy keeps coming in and telling you about how bad it is and all these situations it is. Guess what? You're sowing to the flesh. You are sowing to the flesh from the mind. Your mind is continually sowing about how bad it is and what kind of situation it is. So what are you reaping in return? Corruption, bad things, bad situations. You're not life. How many of you are really got life and got life more abundantly? And here's why you don't. Because you are sowing to the flesh. You're sowing these things to it. And when we're nothing and we're thinking we're something, we're sowing it to our flesh, therefore we're reaping the sadness, the poor situations going on in my family or whatever it may be. Woe is me. And therefore, what do you get back out? Sadness, tears, crying. Oh God, why won't you listen to me? I'm in such a terrible place, got so many burdens. Wah. I'm guilty. I think I'm something. That's where we began at now, remember? When you think you're something, you deceive yourself. But he said when you sow to the Spirit, you reap life everlasting. What is life? Love, joy, peace, long-suffering, meekness. That's what we got to sow to. How do you get that? You've got to be in the Word. You've got to be of the things of God, of mine. You've got to realize that God is in control. You've got to realize you're nothing and it's all about Him. Then you'll start flowing with the Scriptures. You'll start going with what God says. You'll start doing what He says and realize if you're Joseph and have to go to jail for 3 years, then so be it. If that's what I got to do. If my brothers are going to throw me in a hole and sell me off to be a slave, well, okay. But look what he ended up being at the end. He ended up being the Pharaoh's #1 man. Having the greatest thing and saves his family. And brings up the Hebrew children in Egypt. Brings them up there. Done nothing wrong. But ended up going down that road. He could have sat there all the time, and I'm sure there was some days that Joseph probably said, why? But whenever he did that, he was sowing to the flesh, thought he was something. But if he'd have went through the prison like Paul, who got beaten and thrown in prison, realizing he was nothing, it's all about Jesus, he would have rejoiced and uplifted, the walls would have shaken, the gates would have opened, and people been saved. That's sowing to the Spirit. So when problems and situations arise, do we sow to the flesh? Do we sow to the Spirit? If we're sowing to the flesh, we think we're something. If we're sowing to the Spirit, we realize we're nothing. That's how you realize it. So once again, are you thinking you're something? Or are you thinking you're nothing? If you're thinking you're something, you're deceiving yourself. That's what the Word says. You're deceiving yourself. That's not me now, it's God. That's His Word. That's what it says. Verse 9. And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. I'm pitiful, I can tell you that. When it comes to that, I must have been thinking I was pretty high something. Because I sure have grown weary in some things in my life. I sure have about fainted some things in my life. I sure have been down about some things in my life. I sure have. But he says if you won't do that, you'll reap good things in due season. Joseph had long years there. There were several years of many problems for him. We've been through about 4 years of pretty bad things ourselves. I don't know how many more years we have to go. But on the other side of that, Pharaoh. On the other side of that, there's going to be something. Because you're not going through what you go through for nothing. If we'll accept God and not quit, that's what he's saying. If we faint not. If we hang on. Don't be deceived by all this. Don't get up all in an uproar. The reason you're getting in an uproar, once again, you think you're something. And we end up fainting and going, woe is me. Why am I in this situation? Why is it going on? What's everybody going to think? What's happening? And if you need to learn and go home and look at one of your whatnots, look at one of your vases, whatever you got, and write your name on it. And get up every day and say, hi me, let God move me. Because I have not power to do it, because I'm nothing. And this is something we got to get up every day telling ourselves, I'm nothing, it's all about you, Lord. It's all about you. Let me quit thinking I'm something, God. I know that's what you're doing in my life. And that is something God is working on every one of us if we have to answer yes right now. If you've been wearied, if you've been sowing to the flesh and reaping corruption, you've been thinking you're something. God is working on you. Be not deceived. God knows your heart. He knows what's going on. He knows that we're thinking we're something, and He's trying to get us to realize we're nothing. That's what He's working on you for. And to get you to realize it's all about His Son. Period. It's all about Jesus. Period. That's the bottom line. That's all it is. That's what we're all put here for. If you ain't got a whatnot, I'm sure Lisa's got some extra ones, but I'm pretty sure most of you women's got them. I'll get you one if you want to write your name on it. But we're going to have to realize that's where we're at. And that's what God is trying to do. That final verse, as we have therefore opportunity, let us do good unto all men, especially unto them who are of the household of faith. Is there an opportunity right now? Is there an opportunity every day of your life? Well, let me tell you something. We've only got so many opportunities. Whatever age you are right now, where did your life go? How many more opportunities do you think you got left? Now, I'm not saying anybody's being mean to anybody. They're not deliberately being mean in any way, shape, or form. And they're not trying to tear down people. That's not. I don't think that's what he's talking about as much here. I'm sure that's part of it. But I'm talking about that brotherly, godly love for people, and especially for the people of the household of faith. How many times do we spend calling each other and trying to say, hey, are you having a good day or is problems? What can I do to help you? What can I do to encourage you? I just wanted to tell you I love you. I know the burdens are hard, but I love you. You had an opportunity today. Did you take it? Did you? Did you take an opportunity to do good to others around you, and especially those of the household of faith? Did you take the opportunity? Or was the burdens and situations and things so bad because we thought we was something and didn't realize we think we was something? We were so into flesh. And didn't even realize it. Didn't even realize it. Didn't even realize that that was what was going on. Didn't even realize that that was what God has been trying to do in our life. This is really pretty much the bottom line of where God is trying to take you and me to. He's trying to take you and me to the bottom line to realize that we can't do nothing without Jesus. We are nothing without Him. We're like a little vase sitting on the wall. That little whatnot, that thing right there, that's us. That thing cannot get up unless somebody goes over and picks that up, and that's God. It can't do one thing unless God allows it. It cannot. But if that thing thinks it's something, it's going to begin to worry about, man, I'm dusty over here and nobody won't clean me, and everybody's going to see me and I look awful and they're going to think bad about me. Oh my God, what am I going to do? That's thinking something about itself.